for the flag. Okay, would you like to lead us, Joan?
Sure.
John,
Oh,
Joan?
Joan, okay, go ahead, Joan. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, thank you, guys. That was a team effort.
That's it was.
There's only one letter difference. Okay, welcome and announcements. Do we have any announcements this time? Do we have any events coming up? No, we have conference week coming up. That's the big thing. Okay. Agenda. Does anyone have any corrections or additions to the agenda?
I'm assuming it will fall under item 8 that we're gonna, I think we're slated to talk about superintendent evaluation as well as preliminary discussion on goal setting.
We'll start that out in the executive session and then come out of executive session to do any decision making,
Okay,
anything like that.
okay,
Because that will be the discussion will be the performance of an employee.
okay.
Any other questions or additions or anything on the agenda? We have no policies today, so we should go through things pretty quick. Let's move on to the consent agenda then.
Are you gonna approve the agenda?
Pardon?
Are you gonna approve the agenda?
Oh, yeah, I guess we better formally approve the agenda.
Well, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's moved and seconded to approve our agenda. Is there any other discussion or comments? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, the motion passes 4-0.
Yes.
So Eric isn't here yet. I'm sure he'll be here soon. So let's move on to the consent agenda then, and we have minutes for what, 3 meetings today?
Yep.
That's all up to care of me. Oh, I think for me, the minutes all looked okay.
Well, that means you're okay then.
Oh, well.
John thinks they're okay.
Oh, I'd go that far, but.
Well, for the minutes, I just have one correction. It's for the minutes of February 7th. That typewriter is still putting in Campbell there in Joan's name.
Sorry.
Swear we fixed that while we were.
I
in
thought
the office.
so.
Well, I
but-
think that, you probably
we did,
pulled up
yeah.
last month's and
Yeah.
just go in and adjust
That's
and
weird.
change.
Well, but we fixed it in Kelly's office that Monday.
Well, that's what I was wondering. We
Yeah,
did.
that's weird. I'll change it again.
We just marked through it and I can sign. We don't have to
Okay.
have it retyped.
Okay.
And then we also have meetings for the special meeting. And then for a retreat, the board 7th. And I did notice that we had a cost there for gov jobs, so congratulations to Kelly on getting the our history of structured job advertising started.
Yeah, there are, when you're ready, there are three things I wanted to just call out. That was one of them. Also on page 2, you'll see, Apogee, and that is the new communications tool that we're rolling out, K-8. That's part of our Millay app. So teachers and families can communicate directly. And then just one that is an annual charge, so you won't see it very often, is on page 3. And that is for the radio that allows us to communicate with the county for like, being able to reach transportation and things like that.
Yep, that's a radio fee everybody has to pay.
Yeah, I've seen that come up differently. That kind of consistent with prior years then, that amount? Or
Yeah,
relatively,
yeah.
okay.
No big changes, but it's only once a year, so
Mhm.
it wouldn't be something we would see very often.
And the
Okay.
aptitude, is that an annual subscription? You know?
Yes, yeah, so
Okay.
there was an implementation cost and then there's an annual subscription. It's part of the, Apogee is the company that is doing, all through our websites, and they do the, Millay School District app.
Oh,
And
I
this
see.
is just an additional product that we, added on after, hearing from our teachers that they need a better way to communicate with families.
Yeah, perfect, helpful. Okay. Yeah, I know payroll as well, Anita. I didn't have any questions on it, but I know it takes. We were trying to reference, I think, like the warrant numbers. I don't know if I have that in front of me, so whenever we're ready for a motion, I'm happy to
Well,
make that or.
you know, I think it's important that the minutes record the voucher numbers and the warrant numbers that are approved,
Agreed.
rather than just putting in the total amount that was approved, because if somebody then wants to check later, they wouldn't have this backup information,
Exactly,
because it
yeah,
wouldn't be attached to the minutes.
We have
So
to
our
by law.
choice would be to attach it to the minutes if we just want to have the number or to list the numbers.
right,
And one of the things that we can do perhaps is ask Jessica to insert the numbers so that we don't have to stumble through here and find all the right numbers, but I don't know if that's appropriate or not.
For the minutes,
Yes.
yeah, I put in all the voucher numbers. And then
Okay.
it will cost. So like AC.
So kind of to your question then, John, if you made a motion and you approved the invoice listing, the warrant registers are very listed those, she can then put in the numbers.
okay.
And then also,
Yeah, I know there's these things, we also reference our.
oh yeah, so these are the things that I add to it because they don't get. I'll let you take a look at those if you would like, because it would be, you know, beneficial to have that part of the motion. We're just going through all the consent agenda items, Eric.
Great. I'll try to catch up. So what item are we on?
Well, we talked through the minutes, and if you have comments on any of the minutes, totally fine, and then we were kind of just reviewing the AT stuff and the payroll. Kelly pointed out a couple items, the radio P that we're paying this time. Yeah,
Page 3 has the radio, which is an annual, halfway down, $3,000.
That's for our radio to the buses
Yeah,
on the combined county
correct,
system.
yeah. And then, Anita had also, noticed on page 4, the government jobs for posting our, PCIA opening.
Page 4.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, got it.
What part of the page?
second to the bottom, right above Hood River Supply.
Bundle park pack job. Oh, okay, close. Okay. Thank you.
Is that just, are we paying that much because it's going to several sites, like link,
Yeah, that's what they charge for, and then we could post up to 6 on the government jobs website.
Oh, I see.
And then next month you'll see one more charge for posting it through ESD 112. Which is a really common place for educators to be looking for positions, and then they ESD will also post it to like Indeed and several other locations for their cost.
Okay, well, if, happy to, whatever, if there's more discussion, but I would move that we approve. I'm trying here, our consent agenda items. I guess just to recap, would be minutes from 3 different meetings, the slight edit of correcting Joan's name. And then also reflecting our approval of the AP vouchers and payroll. Payroll will be totaling $163,390.24, which will be paid on check numbers 37762 through 37779. And then the AP payments totaling $26,236.11 on check numbers 42899 through 42926. And then we separately will sign the authorization to the county treasurer, which is a portion of the payroll totaling $117,938.47.
The first portion of payroll is all the benefits that goes to the bank. Goes to Club. Well, that now is, what name did they change to?
Columbia.
Columbia. Okay, so there has been a motion to approve the consent agenda, the items, listed and provided to us under that category in our packet. Is there a second? I'll second. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments? Eric, did you have something since you came in a little bit late?
No, I'm just got through the minutes and
Okay,
the
all right.
AP, so, and I'll trust John on the amounts, so.
I think I wrote them right. We're gonna keep those together.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Anyone opposed, say nay. All right, thank you. Let's move on to public comment.
It's required if there's only one.
You're representing us in some sports thing you volunteer with? I heard you talking about sports.
Whenever we're at the state basketball tournament last week.
You recently reviewed our PCIA recruitment flyer. What did you think of that, Mr. Manning?
I'm excited for that.
Are we gonna post that in different places?
We are. I have it to share. Yeah, I literally handed it to him. I'm good. What do you think?
How'd the knee hold up, Rick?
Still. I might.
Okay,
But you're
let's
back to it.
move on to reports, discussions, and approvals. So first off is our calendar. We have a new calendar in our book.
We have an amendment to the one that was brought to you in December, I think.
I saw it.
On your agenda.
The only change is that after a significant amount of feedback around this semester ending not on a Thursday, which would give the Friday as a grading day, we shifted to having a 91-day first semester and an 89-day second semester, which is common. We're also very likely to have a snow day in the first semester anyways, which would even us out. Or we could have several snow days in the second semester, causing us to be uneven. But that way, the semester would end on January 21st. January 22nd would be a non-school day for students, and staff would be on site finalizing semester grades. And the new semester would start on Monday, January 25th. That is the only change from the last draft.
And what was it previously?
Ending, on a Wednesday, and then the Thursday was the first day of the next semester, and then the grading day was after that,
I see.
which received a lot of feedback. A significant amount.
And is this change in response to listening to
It
that?
is absolutely in response to that feedback.
Oh, good.
I don't know if it's being kind of a short week then, because of the holiday too,
Correct, which is really similar to how this year felt.
right?
That also gives students that long weekend to finalize any projects that are due.
Change.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That also, thanks, Bill, that also results in, the school year ending on a Thursday. Instead of a Friday, so teachers get to come, their last day is Friday instead of Monday. Thank you. So the new calendar, the June 10th will be students' last day. Teachers come back for one day after to close out their classrooms. On the previous version, because of the way things fell, students' last day would have been the 11th, causing teachers to come back to clean out their classrooms on the 14th. So this is start summer day earlier for kiddos and does not ask teachers to come back after a weekend for one day before starting their summer. Thanks.
That's good.
Yeah,
That does work out.
yeah, it all the changes worked out much better.
Any questions on the calendar or anything else? All right, so let's move on to winter data report.
Right.
There's no action required on that, right?
It would be when we get to, we separate those out now. We have one of its own. Yes, if the board is comfortable approving it with the changes, that would be lovely, because then I could publish it.
I'll move we approve the updated calendar. With the changes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the updated Millay School District calendar for 2026 through 2027. Are there any further questions or comments or anything? All right, all in favor say aye.
Right.
Anyone opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. Thank you.
See, or how we're gonna do it, technical difficulties today. Okay. So I have for you guys today the winter data report. I will adjust it before saving it to say 2026. So first, just an update on enrollment. PCI's current enrollment is a total of 17. 6 9th graders, 2 10th graders, 2 11th graders, and 7 seniors. That is a net change of 3 since the last data report.
Excuse me.
And then Mill A, current enrollment is 36. With 8 in K2, 14 and 14 in the other classrooms, which is a net change of 1. So I want to point out that when this class graduates, it is a significant portion of our existing students. For winter assessments, we assessed in both English language arts or ELA and in math. We used the iReady diagnostic, which is the diagnostic tool that goes with the newly adopted K-8 math curriculum and the K-5 reading curriculum. Students who scored below grade level on that diagnostic test were given an additional assessment called the core phonics screener, which really digs into which skills students need support learning to be able to read at grade level. And then for math, we use the iReady diagnostic in grades K through 10. And the reason we only are assessing through 10th grade this year is because this, with our size, we really are looking for longitudinal data and trends. And so testing our seniors and juniors who won't be here long just doesn't seem to make sense. In reading, we get data on these key areas through iReady. Phonological awareness, which is the sounds of our language that are off page. So like if I said, what are the sounds in cat? You would be able to tell me cat. That's phonological awareness versus phonics, which is how do you spell cat? So we test both of those high frequency words, words that come up with a high frequency in grade level literature, vocabulary, and then comprehension in both literature and information text, so fiction and nonfiction. All of this testing supports our multi-tiered systems of support, that MTSS. And so what we have done through the first semester leading up to the winter benchmark is we have our core instruction, which is tier 1. It's also known as universal supports. Every student gets it. And that is iReady reading in small groups or small reading groups in middle school. A program called Haggerty in K5. And I believe middle school is using the middle school version of that, which is has a different name, but it's the same concept. It's for that phonological awareness. It's really fun. It's like word games. You ask kids like, if I change the first sound in bat to what's the new word, they usually enjoy it. And then we have started using ECRI, which is, oh man, it's an acronym and I cannot tell you what it stands for right now, but it is a phonics and phonemic awareness instruction in K2. For students who are getting that additional support in tier 2, often referred to as Title, because Title I funds cover those interventions. They're getting a new curriculum that aligns with iReady called Phonics for Reading. They're also doing the iReady personalized pathways and a program called Read Theory. So they're getting 3 different interventions, which allows our Phonics for Reading groups to be really small and targeted. And then students who need support beyond that are receiving support from our special education team. And that would be tier 3, and that would be individually designed instruction. Jessica, do you want to say anything about how Phonics for Reading is going?
It's going great. Like the kids love it. It's a fun little book. And we do little word games and then we read passages and they answer the questions, but they really like it. Like if I'm working with one group, the other group is like, can we do it now? So
It's really engaging and the students really love it. And it's targeting all of those things that I said the benchmark looks at, from phonemic awareness all the way through comprehension.
So how well are is the person who's like working with the kids doing?
I'm doing great.
She's
Amazing.
Perfect.
I like the fact that that's all like that in person
Mhm.
rather than being online.
Yeah, so do they.
Yeah, so that was a big shift that we made towards the end of first semester, and the students have been really happy. Okay, we're getting to the results part. Okay, so I'm sorry the slide is so busy, but I will do my best to make it make sense. So this is our reading growth results. It's not just the test results, it's the difference from fall till now on proficiency. So the green with the stripes is for students who are mid or above grade level. For example, a 4th grader who's reading at a mid 4th grade level or above. So they might be reading at an end of 4th grade or 5th grade. They're somewhere at the midpoint or above. At the beginning of the year, we had 14% of our students there. Now we have 29% of our students there. So this is one we want to go up, and it did go up. The solid green is early on grade levels. So that same fourth grader would be showing up at like a fourth grade reading level, but maybe early fourth grade, which gets a little tricky because the skills that we teach might be in a different order than the test itself. So anywhere in the green is really proficient at this point. We went from 17% being in the green at the start of the year up to 37%. So we've seen huge growth. The yellow is students who are reading one grade level below. So that same fourth grader would show up reading at a third grade level. We went from 49% of our students testing that way down to 23. The last two are students who are significantly below grade level. So the solid, this tiny little solid red is students who are reading 2 grade levels below. Same fourth grader testing at a second grade level. We went from 9% to 3%. And then the red stripes is a student who's reading 3 or more grade levels below. So a fourth grader at a first grade level or an eighth grader reading at like a fourth grade level. So, and we went from 11 to 9. So all of the metrics that should have shrunk did, and all of the metrics that we would want to grow did.
Wow,
It's
you-
really promising
You
data.
said it would take 3 years to get progress.
I'm really impressed with the work that is happening across the district and specifically across Mill Hay School. Adopting this curriculum is clearly having a significantly positive impact along with our current staff makeup. I believe we've got the right people in the right spots, and now we've given them the right tools.
Good. So you've explained this before. Remind me, you would expect students like at grade means like at finish of grade 4, right? If we're talking about grade 4.
Yeah, but it gets a little tricky because this, like, the scope and sequence of the diagnostic doesn't even match the scope and sequence of the curriculum
Curriculum.
itself. So there's like a little, like, right, like,
Suspicions.
we don't panic with yellow,
That's what I'm saying. When you
but
expect,
at the end of the year,
you want to not have yellow.
we want to not have yellow.
Because you would expect a fourth grader coming in as a new fourth grader to be proficient at the third grade level when they start fourth
Yeah.
grade. And you would expect that to shrink over the course of the year as they
Correct.
learn fourth grade material.
Correct. So at the beginning of the year, if students are testing in the yellow, which we had 49%, that means that they're walking into fourth grade testing at a kind of an end of the year
Third grade, which
So
they
that
expect.
gap should be pretty easy to close. They're not coming to you with every skill that you would want to start fourth grade, but they're right
Oh.
there. Like, they're not reading at a fourth grade level per se, but we test like in the first couple weeks of school.
Right.
So we still got summer slide we're dealing with. They're not even really back into the full swing of things. So green in the fall is really promising because it can, because of the scope and sequence questions, they almost could be ahead. You just can't quite tell.
Is grade level defined the same throughout the whole year's worth of
Yes.
testing?
Yes.
Right, so what you're wanting to accomplish is that the students are at green
On the spring.
on the spring test or at the end of the year in essence.
Yeah, so we'll do one more of these at the end of the year. I believe we have it scheduled for. It might even be the first week of June because we want to get
As much of the year in
as
as
much of the year
possible.
in as possible.
But you'll expect those, like we say, fourth grade students, if they're to test when they come back in the fall, several of them are gonna be below grade level because now they're gonna be testing at a fifth grade level.
Right, and if they had any summer slide and they didn't continue to read over the summer and anything like that,
Right.
they could show up back in the yellow. Which is really common, which is why yellow in the fall is not super concerning.
But wouldn't it also be because of the change in expectations? Because you're not, they were testing at a fourth grade level in the spring.
Theory, they would continue to read and have better, like, just language comprehension
Just
for those 3
some
months.
growth over the summer.
Cause some of it is vocabulary, some of it is comprehension, and so.
Right, but there's not a lot like growth when the kids are out of school.
Is not really expected.
And it's not something that we're gonna be able to do much about other than like a summer program
Yeah.
or something.
So we're really gonna be looking at that fall number, that's really the red. And that spring number, how many of our kids are leaving us where they need to be, and then this is just telling us what trajectory we're on.
Seems like 3 years ago, We had a star 360. Remember, they gave us a pie chart,
Yeah.
like 60% of the kids were below.
Yeah.
On up.
Our students are doing an incredible job.
So do you give, credit to our instructors who are using the, iReady program, so it's kind of consistent throughout the entire school?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
having,
I think that's just, I assume that is a huge benefit to our teachers.
having tools that are laid out and are aligned with the Common Core state standards that just simply require teacher to use the tool versus make, create, and try to align the tool it's a game changer.
Remind me for context too, on the iReady math, I believe we implemented that in the prior academic year. The ELA was all implemented this year, so this is our first year with it.
Yeah,
And fair to say, this might oversimplify it, but the curriculum before both in math and ELA was really more homegrown. Like there wasn't a comprehensive curriculum that we had adopted.
yes, and it was difficult to determine how aligned the homegrown worksheets were with the Common Core state standards, which is what we're tasked with measuring success against.
Right.
Good job.
So it's quite critical, really, the work we've done to adopt the curriculum. And I sort of just having all this somewhat top of mind anchor back to our school improvement plan, the goals that we identified in there. It's nice to see this is just a progression on that of achieving what we set out to do.
Yeah, and even though we did not, we don't have iReady reading in middle school, but we adopted a new history curriculum that Jennifer went out and found. And even just having current, modern, up-to-date curriculum, even in history, is gonna impact their reading scores because they're gonna be reading that informational text. So that's gonna make a big difference. And they're reading a textbook that's at their grade level. And so if they're not at grade level, we're scaffolding that and they're picking up vocabulary, they're picking up context, all of those things. Because we're starting to have the right tools across the board.
So now that you've had some time with that history curriculum, are you happy with it?
I like it.
Good.
It's a lot.
Oh,
I
sure.
need a lot of information, so we'll see if we get through halfway. That was
Yeah.
the goal, to get halfway through this year and then finish it out next year, but we'll see.
That's it. That'd be on like a 2-year cycle where you do it.
That's what we're gonna try.
That's ideal, right? Cause
Yes.
our 8th graders will eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, start to be more integrated into PCIA type stuff. Giving Jennifer 6th and 7th graders.
But it would give an option for some remedial the following year if needed as well. Yeah.
Another way to kind of look at the growth results is to think about the target. And so iReady gives us information on how much growth a typical student would make in a year, and they call that annual growth. Right now, as a school, we've made 125% of our annual growth, which at the midpoint of the year, you'd be looking to be somewhere in the mid-50s. So we have 51% of our students who've already made a year's worth of growth
In 6
in
months.
comparison to where they tested in the fall. Yeah, it's incredible. And then we also have what they call stretch growth, which is more than a year's worth of growth. We have 34% of our students who've already made about a year and a half worth of growth in a year. Now, I want to temper expectations for future years.
Sure.
And just say that we had a lot of very foundational skills that we needed to just shore up. And there is some from fall till now, till spring, learning how to take the test, right? So not to take away at all from the incredible work that our staff is doing, but I just want to say, once you start to catch up, growth can look different.
Sure, of course.
Well, particularly I would think from year to year and, just in our district. I mean, I'm always amazed, right? Like it shifts. We have new students coming in, we have students exiting. And that really can throw off the underlying thing.
Yeah.
Each kid is really different, so.
Mobility can have a huge impact on our growth numbers year to year. Which is why we really want to be looking at like, how did we do this year? And then how are we doing longitudinally? But we don't want to be too reactive in anything other than if we're not seeing growth, then we would want to examine our practice within that year. But like year to year, we're gonna need to look longer for trends.
So you're saying the first time the kids take that style of test or that test, they're gonna perform worse, possibly,
Possibly, it's different.
than when they take it. And so like, then they're gonna grow just in getting better at taking that test from the fall to the winter. So next year, we may not see as big of a drop off from spring to fall, which would likely mean we also don't get as much growth.
Right, we
from
do,
fall to winter.
this is a really common assessment,
Yeah,
so if we have students move in, it's really likely they've taken it. So the students who were exposed to it for the first time, are students who've gone through middle A, for most of their academic years. It's the same, the math test is really similar, that when they started taking that last year, but like literacy is different, and so the first time they saw the literacy diagnostic was this year. So there's just a little bit of that.
I want to take the test.
You wanna take the test?
Well, I don't know that we can enroll you in grades K through 10, Joan, but
Do you have your appropriate ID to enroll in grades? K through 10?
we also tested in mathematics. The 4 domains that are measured in math are numbers and operations, algebra and algebraic thinking, measurement and data, and geometry. So same concept, right? Stripes is at mid or above grade level. We went from 6 to 14, so we grew there in math as well. Early on, we went from 11 to 31. 1 grade level below, 60 to 43, and this is where we see those kids that came in that were testing still at the grade that they had just exited, and now they're moving up where they should be. Our 2 below fell from 11 to 9, and 3 or more fell from 11 to 3. So closing this striped gap is fantastic because we're gonna start to push kids up. Math is,
You're gonna start what?
we're gonna start to push our kids who are like 3 or more grade levels, we're gonna start to push them up from the red stripe to the red to the yellow and eventually to the green. But we're not gonna do that in 6 months. That's not in math. Because they've got foundational concepts to learn and current grade level concepts to learn. So if you are still struggling to add, and it is time to learn division or multiplication,
Yeah.
now that takes a lot of time and
The math was way behind 3 years ago.
and math is taught very differently, and iReady is also it's very based on like math concepts and being able to explain what you're doing and show your work and draw pictures. Adopting iReady Math, I think, was a wonderful decision, and also it is a big undertaking because it is dramatically different than most.
2 questions, Kelly. One, remind us, both these sets of results are across K-10.
Yes.
So this is our whole student population minus juniors and seniors. I'm aware mostly because I have kids that were participants in this, a fair amount of grumbling in general about iReady, which I think you did some addressing of, but how do you see that? Like, I guess in your experience, your staff's experience, like across the years, how much of a factor is that, right? Because if a group of kids is very dissatisfied with the diagnostic, how do you keep up the level of ambition to put the effort into it? Or do you see that as a big issue, really?
I don't think it will be a big issue for long.
Mhm.
I can say that the students who came to us from as freshmen that had gone to other middle schools had all done it before.
Right.
It is super standard. I think as we explain that this is part of our forecasting for college level courses, I think that will help sort some of that out as well. I think that, there were a few things that the students, brought up after the fact that have already been addressed as far as like, environment. And it was new and they've already had a lot of change.
Right, yeah.
So over time, it'll shake itself out. And I can say our numbers and growth would probably look a little bit even better had I told only K-8. Because of exactly that. We had some kids, we were like, just like click, click, click and done. And given the opportunity to retake it, we're like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
That's the way I was in school. I'm good.
Yep, there's a lot of that. Typical growth for math, we're at 71% across the board. 37% of our students have already met a year's worth of growth in math, which is pretty good. So we're well over that 50% mark halfway to the year. And then stretch growth for meeting like, over a year, we've got 9% of our students who've already done that, and then another 14% of our students who are almost there. So. Math instruction in that multi-tiered systems of support or MTSS. All students get tier 1 core instruction. They're getting their iReady math grade level groups. And then they also all have access to MyPath, which is a personalized online lesson that is based on the diagnostic. That is for K-8. And students at PCIA who need that level of support, we can add that in for them individually. And then students who are below grade level in math, the tier 2 support, the additional support that we're using is really that MyPath, because it's giving them lessons based on where they are, not necessarily what the grade level is learning. And then for students who are receiving special education services, and they get individualized education that is outside of it.
So. Back before it was mentioned that when they're behind their grade levels, the teacher's gotta teach their grade level. They can't go back very much. So with this iReady, does that help them get caught up?
That's the plan, right? So we are required to give students grade level content. So even a student who's still struggling to add and subtract that's in middle school is working on algebraic equations because we have to expose them to it. In addition to doing that, we're trying to fill in some of those knowledge gaps. The MyPath, the individualized lessons would be giving them something based on how they tested. So if a student is struggling with basic multiplication, that's what their MyPath lesson might look like, but in their class, they might be working on linear
Division of
functions.
fractions.
Yeah, division of fractions. So they would be getting both. And the idea is that they're still getting exposed to the grade level concept, and maybe they're gonna pick up something, or they're at least gonna have exposure to it. And as they start to get those foundational skills, those prerequisite skills, then their trajectory just increases.
Yeah, I hate to see them get left behind.
Yeah.
So is that considered like best practice to?
We're required to give them grade level content. We cannot deny a student grade level content if they're behind. We have to give them both.
Interesting.
Just an attendance update, kind of letting you guys know where we're at. PCIA attendance right now. The average is 88.57. Obviously we have an outlier. But I'm gonna go on to the next slide because I think it shows the data a little bit better. The vast majority of our students are in that 89 to 100% range.
What were those dots? What do they represent?
Each individual student.
That represents
What does it represent?
a single student.
Each student. Those are all the different numbers of the students across PCIA.
All currently enrolled.
Yes.
Okay.
So 50% means he's here half the time. That's the main.
And there are different reasons for that to happen, such as medically fragile students or other things like that that can impact attendance at that level.
The 88 point whatever percent, Kelly, how did that, this is all this winter check-in, so the last time we looked at attendance would have been like fall. Are we better than, maybe I'm skipping
We're
ahead,
pretty close,
pretty similar?
but yeah, so the goal as written in the school improvement plan is 90% of our students will be at 90%. So it's not that our average will be 90%,
Right, okay.
right? So like in this case, we have a student who is experiencing something that's heavily impacting their attendance, right? If that were to pull our average below 90, but most of our students were above 90, we'd still be hitting that goal.
Mhm.
And I have it broken out that way here in a moment.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I don't. This is the closest slide I have to it. So you can see that right now, we've got out of 17, 12 students that are in that 89 or above range. So the majority of it, right? And then the students who aren't are like in the 80s.
So to meet that goal, you would actually only allow one student to be below.
It's pretty
90%.
hard in our
Yeah.
school our size, yeah. Some good news, as we look to trending, if we based on students who will be returning next year. If they were to maintain the exact same attendance average they have now, our attendance with those students would be 92.34%. Which means 70% of our existing students that are coming back are already at 90%, which for a school our size, 1 or 2 students can move the needle. a
One family.
significant-
How does that affect school? You know, if the student isn't gonna show up, you don't have any control.
Correct. I sent out a survey today to, our secondary instructors, so middle school and PCIA. Trying to get some feedback on how preparedness and attendance and tardiness are impacting them. Because it's in a school our size, for PCIA, especially since we rely on a lot of group projects, collaboration, discussion, having low attendance is significantly impactful to the entire class environment.
So how well does, or how closely does attendance impact, academically success? So is a student who is, and obviously there are tons of reasons why a student wouldn't be attending, but are those students more likely to be scoring or learning less? There's just no way, because there's such differences in the situations.
I don't know that I could answer that any way other than just anecdotally, so. But it is something I can kind of look at to try to cross-reference the data.
It probably, or sure doesn't make it easier to succeed, to attend school less.
But there are students who,
You know,
right?
Who can deal with that?
who
It's an
can.
additional challenge, but some students can handle the challenge.
Because a lot of the stuff really, I mean, is reading or like, right? It's some of the more hands-on stuff that's gonna be heavily impacted, so. It may affect a student more in science than it does in literature, like just, it really depends on. And it's very individualized how it would impact them, but what it does impact is it does impact the learning environment. It is highly impactful to our classrooms to have students who aren't consistently there because they're walking in. And it might be the 3rd day of a unit and they've been gone for the first 2. Now they don't have any idea and we're supposed to be doing partner work, but they haven't done any of the work up
it
until that
impacts
point.
them as well as all the other
Correct.
students, okay?
It is a significant challenge that we're facing this year that we are trying to figure out how to overcome.
Are there ways to harden the classroom experience so it's not as impactful on other students? So that if, let's say you have a medically fragile student who is in the hospital regularly or something, so that doesn't impact the rest of the classroom. You still provide a good experience to that.
If it's one, absolutely. If it's a class of 5 and 3 of them are chronically absent,
Oh, yeah.
so that's why
Yeah, yeah.
I would say more so than a large school, attendance is absolutely vital to PCIA's success. Like, our instructors are facing an additional challenge of teaching and providing good, solid instruction because the pace is getting impacted, the discussions are getting impacted, the projects are getting impacted. So we really are digging in deep to this topic in a lot of different places right now.
Is there anything the school can do to increase attendance?
Not directly. Not really directly. I mean, their truancy rules are not really going to help us. But we can continue to work on it from a school culture standpoint. But it's not an easy fix.
Well,
You could also do things like stress the unique value of that at selection time, when students are choosing whether to come here or
That's a
not,
good point.
whether this is a good fit for your students.
So
Those types of
and
conversations.
when we get to the superintendent report, I will share a document with you that I think is gonna start moving us in that direction. That we worked on collaboratively today to really help change the school culture to express how important it is to show up every day.
okay, well, I was thinking, carpooling or, you know.
It's not a transportation issue.
Get out of bed issue.
To get out of bed issue? Well, just get out of bed.
That I can't make them do.
The mother says your principal's calling, you better get out of bed.
So just a quick recap, why do we need data? We use data to understand our students deeply. We clarify where we want to go as a district. It builds systems that support every student in every classroom every day. It helps us monitor our progress with honesty and curiosity, and it helps us adjust our practices to ensure that all students grow.
Can I ask a question about attendance, Jen?
Yes.
If a student is like 50% of the time not here, their grade's gotta be way below, right?
It is very challenging to keep up with your academics at that attendance level.
Do they move on to the next grade?
So high school is credit based. So, you have to have so many credits to be
So you
considered.
gotta have your grades to get the
You
credit.
do have to pass your courses to get the credits to then advance or graduate.
And students learn that, if nothing else, through conferences. The impact of not passing a class.
Yeah, I mean, I think they get that. We do a really good job of communicating very frequently. I do want to say, like, you know, having an outlier, that's a very individual situation and like, so it's the students who are hovering in the low 80s and they have for a long time. That's going to be where the biggest impact is. If you're over the course of 4 years attending at a rate of like 82%, you've missed a significant amount of instruction. If you have a situation that creates an emergency or one-off for a semester, and you end up attending at a rate in the 50s, you may need to do some credit recovery, but it's very different if it's one semester, right? So if you have a student who's experiencing something that is isolated, they're going to show up as an outlier, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that has been their trend, right? So that student might have looked very different last year, right? So.
And may be resilient and able to recover, you know,
Correct.
because of their habits.
Or also may be able to do a lot of work
Away-
outside of the
Yeah,
building.
absolutely. Related to that, and this is side question, I'm kind of curious. How do you find our culture in the school around illness? Right, because it's a double-sided, right? You can have the student who's the Iron Man, who comes to class when they're sick and gets everybody else sick, and then your attendance goes way down because because
That's such a, I mean, it's
It's-
such a tricky one, right?
Right.
So like, if you saw the weekly newsletter this week, I tried to address it. There are things that are exclusionary, vomiting, diarrhea, unexplained rash, fever over 100, persistent cough to the point of like, making it disrupting the learning process. But a student who has a cold, who does not have a fever, who might be sneezing and blowing their nose, that's a personal decision. We want them here if they're well enough to be here. And we want them to stay home if they're too sick to learn. It's, I think, a thing that all schools struggle with.
there's this. It's a trade-off for us.
It is true. And also, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I'm definitely not a medical expert, but a lot of these things get spread before symptoms are showing.
Yep.
Right. So by the time you are exhibiting severe cold symptoms, you've already spread it. So there's that, right? So if you are well enough to learn, my hope is that you show up and you wash your hands a lot.
They're all grouped together, touching everything.
Yeah, but it is, I mean, this week we have something going around. There's some upper respiratory thing that hit pretty hard. So like I walked into a classroom today and 50% of the enrolled students were there because the rest were out sick. It's hard to say. And that's the end of the data report.
Cool. That was awesome, because that's something that we've really been looking forward to each time you present it. We've been waiting to see what's happening and how it's going.
Good.
Just because we've got, we just worked really hard with all the resources to make it work. And you came in when it was pretty full. So I think that it's really exciting for us to see what you and the teachers have done as a partnership.
They're doing all the heavy lifting, so.
Budget report.
I don't think there's anything really exciting on the budget report this month. February is halfway through the fiscal year. And it would be with the apportionment of 48.5. If it was exactly as budgeted, so it's a little, the revenues are slightly below, spending is almost exactly that. But again, we spend a lot more upfront, so spending tends to slow down, and the apportionment does not.
So, we're just a little bit lower than we anticipated in number of students. Is that impacting our revenues at all? When did they do the count?
October 1.
October 1, so we should be okay. Because at October 1, we were up higher than we are right now, weren't we?
We were below, our budget was for 40 and we were at 30. So we were just below.
If you add students during the course of the year, you don't get any budgetary
No,
compensation for that.
your enrollment on October 1 is what they look at.
It's not instructional, is it?
I've seen a lot of things on Facebook you put on.
I haven't put anything.
Somebody-
Other people have put them on there.
So what we need is a bunch of students to start the year and then leave.
I would
I
say
think
that
we
it
just
would be
have
in
a
our best
party of
interest
it. Get a whole bunch of kids there.
to start the year above 40. Our policy allows for 15 per class. Well, 40, but the math on that doesn't add up. So I think as long as we don't push a class over 15, it would be in our best interest to enroll over 40, I think we saw a lower overall attendance because we started at 40, and I don't think that that's necessarily the best way to go year over year.
Yeah, and our policy allows to go over 40
It sure does.
as long as we don't have more than 15 in the class.
Correct.
Yes. So did but we didn't turn around any, turn down
We
any
did. We always had-
district students?
No, we can't turn down in district, but we.
I mean out of district.
We did, yeah. We did have
Okay.
choice transfer students that we did not accept because of
Okay.
capacity.
So do some of the parents start enrolling now for next year? New
Mhm.
people?
Oh, well, so we have a wait list going. And we have students who are coming for different explore the school day, like Owl for a Day, and we've got Bobcat for a Day coming up. We don't start the actual full enrollment process till much later.
Maybe you're gonna talk about it in the superintendent report, you said, Kelly, but yeah, I'd love to hear any details on particularly the PCIA recruiting, how you see that going, some of the initiatives that we're
Yeah.
undertaking.
I'll
You know, we've
touch on
got
that a little
people
bit.
through- Yeah. okay.
Absolutely.
Excited to hear about that.
Hey, does anybody have any questions on the budget?
All good for me.
Thank you very much for the budget report.
Very simple. Both of those go to Eric, these are for John. Oh, it's one. So 2-pack.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
So, the second page is just a draft of the budget process, dates and outlines that for you to take and start thinking about. The first step is to give you the outline, which we're taking care of today. In April, we will look at enrollment forecast and staffing forecast. And then we can select a date for a May budget workshop. To start looking at for-year budget worksheets and slowly honing in our 26-27 budget over time, needing to be done. Aiming for June. And it must be submitted to ESD by July 10th. So that's kind of just the general outline, and we'll hone
So
those
we
dates
have
in
a-
next month.
We have a mandate on holding our public hearing, and the advertising we have to do prior to our public hearing. Public hearing, that's right.
So just for calendar, thinking ahead to your calendar, just know we've got an extra meeting in May. Most likely one extra meeting in June. Not two, but it is possible depending on where we're at. The other piece of paper is a flyer that we created collaboratively with PCIA instructor, and was based on a lot of feedback that's been coming out of our building leadership team meetings. And the PCIA admissions committee, which is what it's called, even though it's not technically an admissions, it's just application review. And what we determined was that we really wanted to make sure that prospective students understood that we have a Innovation Academy style of academics, which is a highly rigorous learning environment. And that we want students to be prepared for that. So you will notice the word rigorous is in there a few times. But also, we want to highlight that we are looking for students who are very motivated to engage deeply in the learning. And that we're, for families who are looking to partner with a school, we're going to be a good fit. Because students may need some support. And that's okay. we really need families to be part of that partnership, because if a student is not reading at grade level or struggling in math, they're gonna have a lot of homework, and we really need families to be on board and help support that and be aware of it, because it can be impactful to a family's schedule if your student's coming home for the first time with 2 hours of homework and you're not used to having that. So we want to make sure that not only are the students ready, but the families are ready.
Tell me, Kelly, on that. I'm curious, maybe some of the discussion with the staff about that. And I have my own sort of torn ideas about it, rigorous academic environment, and I think indeed that is what it is in a lot of ways, but I also, my sense is quite anecdotally that some kids over the years, I feel like maybe dismiss themselves from it because they think, oh, that's not for me. That's like maybe too rigorous. Like that's a little bit of a daunting word. And I don't, yeah, we want to strike some balance there where we want kids to be able to engage the opportunity and know that they're probably capable of more than what they think. So I'm just curious maybe what feedback you've heard from your staff or how much that's been talked about and.
I think the consent, I would say the consensus is that it is rigorous, and a student who's willing to put in the work is going to succeed here, and that's really the message.
Yeah.
But we're not going to lower our expectations. We're going to offer a educational experience that is based on being an innovation academy that offers college and the high school classes. So based on our size and our staffing, it is a significant challenge to be teaching a college level literature class and a high school literature class concurrently, especially if your students are reading at a middle school level. So, but if you join us and you're reading a grade level or two behind and you're willing to work, we will support you. We have all of the structures in place to help students realize their potential.
Yeah.
But it has to be a partnership.
Yeah.
And we really want to make sure that people understand that. One of the things that I think we're battling that we've talked about in different committees and things like that is the word academy. Is now commonly used by alternative schools. And so sometimes our name does not clearly indicate what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. And so we just kind of want to strike that balance between, we're not an alternative high school. We are here to do hands-on, innovative, STEAM-based learning, and we want kids to be realistic about the workload. We will help them. We are absolutely prepared with all of our multi-tiered systems of support to put tier 2 in place. But the family and the student have to understand that there's going to be a homework expectation, there's going to be an attendance expectation, things like that.
It's not. I actually remember Angela, I'm trying to remember the phrase she used, because I thought, oh, that's where it's not that you need to succeed, you don't need to be like a high, gifted, it's not a gifted and talented school, but the workload will be rigorous here, no matter where you are, and you have to know you're signing up for that. And because, but it's about the workload, it's not about the.
And we see lots of students that are succeeding because they're willing to put in the work,
Right.
They have some gaps to close, and that's totally fine, We're not looking for only high cap students to come in. We're not
Right.
looking for students who are only above grade level. We're looking to attract students that want to do what we're offering. And I think that's kind of where we need to be more clear in our communication to prospective students and their families. Like, we are here to help you. We're here to support you. In order to succeed here, you have to be an engaged learner. You have to be willing to walk in and have a discussion about the poem that you read last night. You have to be willing to try math problems and then talk about them with your peers. Because in a class of 4,
Mhm.
If you are not comfortable doing that, it's
Mm.
going to be really uncomfortable for you as a learner.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get as much out of it as you might in a different setting. We want everyone in the right setting for them. We want to make sure we're having kids come here so that they can thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's partly, we've just had such a diversity, I think, of students go through the program. But I dare say we've had some that might have, I just wonder, like, would see that and be like, oh, that's not for me. But, and I don't even know exactly what caused them, what sparked them. I think it was a range of things. They're like, I'm gonna go for this. And I think maybe it's made a big difference in their life. And so, yeah, it's like trying to find the balance between a kid not being intimidated by that.
right.
Knowing that I could, yeah, if I'm willing to do the work, yeah, I could succeed at
Right.
this. And what a difference that could make for them. So
I
it's
think-
like, yeah,
I think that's a really good point, because I think there are students who would excel because of the environment itself, not necessarily because of the rigorous academics, but because of the learning environment. They would exceed their own personal expectations. And it would be a perfect environment for them, even though they might start out not being one of your high scores in class
yeah,
tests or
absolutely.
anything else. I think
It's not-
there's some huge benefits
But
to
it-
what we offer in the environment itself that would that really, kids will excel under that environment, even though they may feel like they can't.
It seems like it'd be easier in a smaller group environment. Cause if you're not catching on,
It's harder to hide.
they're
though.
gonna,
It is, and in the expectations, it's a lot of work that you're gonna have to put in. It kind of reminds me of that old, I don't know if you've ever seen the ad supposedly run by Shackleton on the trip to Antarctica,
Oh,
I'm sure I've heard this, yeah.
right? Like, this is gonna suck, right? You're gonna do this, and it can be the best thing in your life, right? That's kind of like what we're,
Kind of what
It's the
Yeah.
embrace the suck mentality.
yeah.
Yeah.
and I think I noticed that the applications on the website, I think. It seems like I noticed in that it clearly says that your academic history is an important element on
Yeah.
whether or not you're accepted.
Right.
But it is not, it's
Not
not
a single,
a make or break, like, right, we
Right.
want. The conversations have really centered around. Wanting to be the right place for kids, right? Kids and students have they have a wide variety of needs. And we want to make sure that we're really honest and clear about what it will take to succeed here.
that's good.
Because if you are not comfortable in a collaborative learning environment, even if you're not the kid who speaks up all the time, but you have to be comfortable being in that environment, right? Where like, that's what will help you succeed here. You aren't gonna be able to be the quiet kid who hides in a room of 27. And if you're at a place in your life where like you need to hide and just like, you might not feel comfortable here because you can't. There are 2 of you in this class and the teacher's gonna call on you. It's gonna stand out if you didn't get your homework done, like, right, there are just some of those things. And not everything that we have planned to put out will list it this way, but we need to strike a better balance than I think we did in the past, was how the conversation went. We need to let people know both sides of the coin.
but I think the thing you're talking about as well is, it's like, but if you are willing to put in the work.
Yeah,
You have the support. You
Yeah.
have the support to help you succeed, right? That's what's here.
yeah. And that's,
Yeah.
that's why I think the first one was, why choose a small class sizes and supported teachers. Like, that's number 1.
Yeah, and I really agree with what you said, Anita, too, like. I think it's interesting knowing some of the students have gone through, like. I do think our instructors have made a difference, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
they've kind of changed those students in a way and made them realize, oh, I could do this, or they find that motivation in themselves, because it's like, oh, they're like,
Mhm.
this is my expectation, so hop to it, and they're like, yeah, okay, I better do that.
I think there are students who maybe afraid to come in and get in there and discover, man, I really like this environment. I really like this teacher. I really like this focus and being part of this. So I think it's also critical, the discussion with families, because
Yeah.
a student has to have the family support.
Yeah, and the danger is like, oh, the parents are committed.
Right, and we do, and we
The
have the
opposite.
opposite, we have
Right.
students who, they have the drive and they don't have support outside of here.
Sure.
So it really comes down to just like the package, right? Like, do you have the drive to do the work? Like, just, are you willing to do the work? Cause we will walk you through it step by step, but we can't make you go home and read. And if you don't go home and read, it impacts everyone, right? And so like, that's a thing that we've, had a lot of conversations about this year, is how impactful it is when we have 4 out of 5 kids who are not, for whatever reason, keeping up with the workload, and they're showing up day after day unprepared for the conversation that is scheduled to happen, and now it can't happen because nobody's done the reading.
That's
And-
kind of odd. You know, they could have went to regular high school, and they chose to go here, but then they're not willing to do the work.
Well, how do you know in advance, like, who's gonna, like Eric's saying, who's gonna say, oh, I wanna, how do you help them in advance know that they're gonna change once they get here?
I think we just have to, make sure that they understand that we believe in them. But we're gonna ask a lot of them because we believe in them, like, right, like holding kids to high expectations is a very positive thing, and we're never gonna ask anything of them that we don't believe they can do, and we're gonna support them in getting it done, but they're gonna have to they're gonna have to do their part.
So is there a period, say like the first week of each semester, where a student can change their mind, let's say, to make it a real simplified situation, if they look like they're not gonna be successful in this class or not gonna be successful at PCIA, parents can still take them to another school?
Oh, yeah, and students can adjust their schedule for the first couple weeks, but within the parameters of how to find a pathway to graduation. I mean, if you decide that geometry is not for you and you're a sophomore, like, we can't let you drop it.
Can they enroll in PCIA and after the first semester decide, hey, man, can they go to Mill A High School?
Stevenson,
Or, well, don't we got?
You're saying, can they can choose to take classes not for college, just for high school class, not for college class. correct?
Oh, not for college?
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So
I
our
see what you're
freshmen,
saying, yeah.
our freshmen don't take college, they take high school classes. They're taking algebra or geometry,
Yeah,
they're
but
taking
if
like
they're out of
freshman.
district and they went for the college and decided, oh, this ain't gonna work for me, can they stay here and go to with our
Just
regular
take
high
the lower
school?
level
Yes.
class.
school diploma. Yes. You don't have to take any
They
college
don't
level.
have to leave the district.
No, but they will be as a junior, our English classes are taught as dual credit. So they're in the same classroom, whether they're taking the high school version or the college version. And so the pace of how much they're reading is gonna be the same. How big their papers are is going to be one of the differences, right? So they're still going to read the book in 4 weeks. But during that time, the high school version may only have to write 1-page reflections, while the college version might have to write 2 to 3-page reflections. And then the culminating project at the college level might be a 5-page essay and the high school might be a 2, right? But they're going to have to do homework at a pretty good rate, even in just the high school.
It's still a rigorous choice.
It's still a rigorous choice. We don't offer, there are larger schools can offer different types of like support classes. We're very limited on what we can do because our instructors' schedules are very full, so we're very limited, but we will do everything we can to support students who are gonna do the work.
Can you define an alternative school? Just, I got stuck on that.
Boy.
Well, actually,
In a recorded public meeting,
there's a STEM school in Vancouver that calls themselves an alternative school, but they are a STEM school for math and art. So the name is not necessarily describing what the school is all about.
sometimes, so alternative schools often have different focuses. But one thing that you might find more in a school that considers itself like an alternative high school would be, they have more supports around, like social emotional learning. They may have more flexible, attendance requirements or, class schedules. They may be set up for students to take 5 years to graduate instead of 4. So that's one way. They also may be, they're also magnet schools where they have a very specific focus. So it can have a lot of different meanings, but if
Okay.
you're looking for a school who, is going to be able to offer a lot of remediated and embedded social emotional learning and executive function type coursework, we don't have that built into our schedule, like
Social emotional learning,
like how to self-regulate, how to,
kind of like behavior
yeah.
in school.
They use the rest of.
So there's, yeah, so in school, students are responsible for learning appropriate behavior in a classroom. And appropriate behavior on the playground, okay? And home, they learn appropriate behavior at home, and then they learn appropriate behavior at grandma's house. And appropriate behavior at Sunday school, so there's all these different environments where behavior has expectations.
And so we often find that we, especially with our younger students, have to help them learn, like cooperation. We have to help them learn even how to share. We have to help them learn how to use kind words, even when they're upset. Because maybe at home, there are words that they're allowed to use that they aren't allowed to use here.
That makes sense, okay?
So we have to do a lot of that. And sometimes students still need that type of support on into the adolescent years. And so there are schools out there that offer courses in that and have more supports around that, than we do.
Thank you. I was curious. If you Google on innovative schools in Washington, there's a lot of different ones that come up, as well as Googling on alternative schools over the last 20 years, or even just less, 15 years. It's just been a big burst of specialty schools.
I don't think Bill will be too upset if I start before he gets back, unless someone disagrees. Okay, so, March 2026, I got the year right on this one. Bringing towards excellence, but don't call it good. That was kind of funny. Nobody laughed at it.
I was covering my face. I know it's fun.
Highlight
I did.
photos there for you since our last meeting. A picture from Mr. Harrison's retirement party, and then a picture of one of our PCIA students reading to, a class of elementary students on Read Across America Week, and it was part of their public speaking. This is one of their projects. So just a quick snapshot, conferences are March 24th and 25th. We've got our awesome book fair, the 23rd through the 25th, and then, they can still go online until April 5th. Spring break is coming up, and we have completed our mid-year check-in on the school improvement plan. And we are, set to start, bargaining with our certificate. Those are kind of some of the big things going on now. We had Read Across America Week, so we were really focused on literacy. K-5 had spirit days and guest readers. I got a chance to go in and guest read. It was really fun, read to our kindergarten through 5th graders. Our fine arts was doing a bunch of thematic units around books, connecting art and literacy. And our library had a great focus on student favorites. And a really cool bulletin board in the upper playroom. As far as like school culture and activities that we've been working on, our character trait of the month for March is empathy. And across Mill School, we're doing an empathy challenge because it's kind of hard to pinpoint like exactly what class is really rocking it at empathy. So we're really looking for them to have to show different traits of empathy in all the common areas. And so when an adult notices a class doing a great job, we give them these big paws. They're green for the month of March. We use those to fill the tank, which is the picture in the upper right. We filled the tank at our last assembly, and so now they get a school-wide reward. We've been averaging filling that tank about every 2 months. Really weird. I don't know how that just keeps magically happening, but we might know how many big paws it takes to fill the tank. We also have PCI's Knowledge Bowl is heading to the state tournament.
Yeah, wonderful.
Really exciting.
It's very exciting. Are you gonna go?
I am not gonna go. No, it is in Wenatchee. I will be here working on my homework. But I wish them all the best.
It's like the third or fourth year in a row, I think
Yeah.
we've been to state.
They're doing great. They're amazing. And then our PCIA is doing monthly student-led activities. They've got lock-in coming up, prom and more, and they just started a weekly newsletter that makes sure students and staff know what's going on, and our ASB is running that. So really impressive work. Staff updates. Just after our last meeting, we held Mr. Harrison's retirement party. Thank you to those of you who could make it. It was an awesome time. There's a picture. And now that he is retired, we will be trying to find someone to teach what he used to teach because we will never find someone to fill his shoes. So we have a post out for a history and political science instructor. This one's really long. Sorry, there's a lot of words on here. As you know, we had our drinking water lead testing back in September, and the initial testing came back with 2 fixtures that were above the limit. One has been permanently deemed hand washing only. It's not in a room where students would ever really try to get a drink out of it, so it's labeled hand washing only. And then the other one, we took the remediation steps. We had our post-remediation testing in January. The fixture came back below the state action level. And so now it meets state safety standards. So all of our drinking water fixtures currently meet Washington State Department of Health Safety standards. So good to go.
So how did you
Yeah.
get them to leave?
It was a brand new sink and we just hadn't run it enough. So we
I think
did
it was
like a 72-hour trickle.
Stick it underneath it all, yeah.
Still different, yeah.
Budget and finance, I handed you guys the budget process
Yep.
draft so that we kind of have an idea of what's coming up. And then, Skamania County is the only county that federal forest fund revenue isn't 100% deductible, which means that whatever they get is taken from their apportionment, by the state. So because Skamania County's federal forest funds are only 30% deductible, Mill School District will receive $37,786 in additional revenue. Whereas if we were outside of Skamania County, all of that money would have just been deducted from our state apportionment. So good news for us. Family and community engagement, also really busy slide, but it was so much fun. Shout out to the PTO who is putting together a spring carnival. Very excited about that. Really want to encourage people to attend both conferences and the book fair. And then wanted to make sure you all had a chance to take a look at our March newsletter and the Keeping Up with Kelly video that went out, highlighting our volunteer, Dr. Scott, reading with students. He comes in weekly and reads with some of our elementary students. It is really really awesome. If you haven't watched the video, it's really cool because he talks about his experience as a volunteer, and how it gives back to him as well. And then we already talked a little bit, earlier about rooms launching in the app, and that's that, communication tool that teachers will have access to.
He's a chiropractor and Steve's.
Yeah, yeah, we're really lucky to have volunteers like him. The building leadership team completed the mid-year school improvement, plan check. So we'll be looking at that at the end of the year, in June. And it is already time for the building leadership team to already start thinking about school improvement goals. And then we'll be bringing those to the board near the end of the year.
So that, now was one of those goals moving it into PCIA more or? In the next school year?
So each school has their own school improvement plan. So PCIA has one and Mill A has one. This is the one with the 3 goals that we send to
Okay.
OSPI, like one is
I
attendance.
kind of got mixed up. I guess what I was thinking of was the MTSS program, we're moving into PCIA next year. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah. the
deeper
school
into
improvement
PCIA.
plan, I think says that in there.
It does. Yep, that's
So
one of the
I got a
goals
little-
embedded in it.
Yeah, I got a little confused there.
Absolutely. And then our look ahead, April's character trait of the month is courage, which is perfect because it's time to start talking about state testing. State testing, and spring break. And of course, our April showers will hopefully bring May flowers. And I just want to, give you some closing thoughts. And spring is a busy and exciting time across our schools. Students are preparing for state assessments, participating in spring activities, and continuing the strong learning momentum we have seen throughout the year. As we move into the final months of the school year, our focus remains on 3 priorities: supporting strong teaching and learning every classroom, fostering a positive and connected school culture, and planning thoughtfully for the 26-27 school year. I want to make sure to thank staff, families, and community partners for the energy and support that they continue to bring to the district. And I also want to make sure to thank the board for your continued partnership and leadership, supporting the work that's happening across both MAS and PCIA. This is a very collaborative environment, and we could not do it without everyone giving their all the time. And that is the end of my report. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, great. Well, let's move on to public comment.
I would have 2 public.
Yes.
So a couple of things I just want to say. In regards to what John was talking about as far as the rigorous goes and everything. I was thinking about how difficult it must be for the instructors at PCIA to have kids in their class that aren't willing to work. It's hard enough in middle school where I'm not teaching college level and high school level. So I can't imagine how hard it would be, and kids have to be willing to work.
Yeah.
Because if you're not,
Why are you here?
well, if you wanna do what's required and what you can have just what's required, then you will have a much better success and much better growth than struggling the whole time because you're not willing to put in the work in a different environment. But you're right, though, it's like you don't know who's gonna rise to the occasion, and so that's that.
Yeah, I think it's a real challenge, and I think that, yeah, I don't know quite where we strike that balance, but I would say that the Innovation Academy really is, it's a unique thing that we have, and so we have to be, and I've kind of to further the thought or maybe extend it. I think it's really of the utmost importance that especially our in-district kids that are interested in that. It represents really, I think, an amazing opportunity for them, and so trying to meet the needs, particularly of those who have a possible interest in it. And yes, they have to be willing to do the work, but yeah, I just think in some cases, we've had students who may not have seen it in themselves that they could do it. And And I think it's probably made a pretty big difference in their life. So it's, yeah, it's trying to find that balance, but yeah, part of finding that balance is, I think, being honest with the students about
Transparent.
what it is
Yeah.
and the parents, and that they know what they're getting into.
I think that's a really good point, John, that, like you mentioned, students that, this is their home district. That's a big part of why we're working on those partnerships where some of our eighth graders are, having the opportunity to take history from a PCIA instructor, and we're looking at ways to expand that.
Right.
So that they can see what it's like. And to Jennifer's point, it's about doing the work. The rigor is about how much work you're willing to put in. You can be brilliant and decide that you're not gonna do your essay, you won't succeed here. And you can be a student who needs support in all content areas and be willing to work and succeed here.
Yeah.
The rigor is about
Work.
the work ethic.
I think that's an important distinction, right? Like, it's not about, yeah, like, let's say, not that you could distill somebody down to how smart are you. It's
Right.
like, yeah, willingness to work hard at something can go a long way.
Your
right?
success here
So,
is not gonna be based on a capacity test.
mhm.
It's gonna be based on
Performance.
your,
Will you
your
show
will,
up?
will you show up? Will you put yourself out there every day?
Think about it like in terms of like as like an analogy, I think about for me, one of the things that I knew I was not good at in my life was running, and I decided to run a half marathon. The first time I went to the track, I did not make it through the first corner, so not an eighth of a mile.
Wow.
I ran a half marathon 6 months later, not because I'm a great runner, but because I had paid for it and I wasn't gonna not go. So there was a rigor to my training regimen. I have no talent as a runner. I am 5 feet tall. I am not a distance runner. I never will be. But I did it and I'm proud of it, but only because I went every single day, right? And it's kind of like that mentality. Like we're talking about, will you show up? Will you try? Are you willing to be pushed?
We're not looking for the kids who are gonna be the Olympic marathon runners.
Right.
That's-
Who would
that's-
give up with it?
Right.
13.1.
But the ones who will put in the hard work to accomplish more than they think they can.
So to Jennifer's point,
Sorry.
so our PCI instructors who might happen to have a student who does not have the determination and the willingness to give what it takes to be a success in their class, what kind of resources or what kind of assistance can the board provide to those instructors? Because those students, at this point in the school year anyway, they've tried everything they can. And I don't know what more the board could possibly do to assist those instructors as well as assist those students.
So the counselor,
Try to build up their
do
confidence
they
and
talk to her, maybe this isn't?
I don't think there's a board action that needs to be taken. I think the board just needs to be aware and understand the messaging that you'll start to see, and then just support the messaging that's out there. I mean, this stuff is being created collaboratively with our instructors to address the problem, but I don't think it's a board action item other than just understanding that it's a challenge that we're facing, and this is how the instructors and the administration are trying to address it. And we're
well, the
really just-
board supports everybody in it, that there's something we can do, let us know. So did you have more?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if any of you want to come visit classroom after spring break.
Yeah, I do.
And
You were already
get
there
with
once.
us.
I
Oh,
heard
she
via the
came in
grapevine,
and-
she gave a special presentation.
And thank you so much to the kids for the thank you notes. They all wrote nice thank you notes. I've been meaning to write them a thank you note for my thank you note.
It's my day.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jennifer. Anything else? Okay, old business. I think you already brought up the budget schedule. I can cross that off my list. I do want to bring up, I think I just briefly made a comment that the regional meeting for our region, which is Region 6, ESD, is putting on a regional meeting in Vancouver on April 16th. It's in the evening from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. It includes dinner. And you know how prices are going. The cost to attend and have dinner is $43.52 per person. If anybody is interested in going, I think a little bird told me there might be some money in the budget for covering the cost for someone who would like to go. Now, you went last year once. I've gone a few times. You probably used to go, Eric, but probably haven't gone for a while. If anybody's interested in doing that, that'd be great. We could either get carpools or I could get you the information on the meeting. If anybody's interested.
And when is that, April?
Vancouver.
The date is April 16th. It's a Thursday. It's starts at 6 o'clock. It's being held at the Leroy Hagan Memorial Drive. That I don't know what the name of the school is, or maybe it's the administration office for Evergreen Public Schools. And you do have to register in advance. I could send you the email or whatever, if anybody's interested.
It was pretty good food too.
Huh?
It was good food too.
It's good food when you went, yeah. I think this year you would probably hear information about legislative any new rules, regulations, funding, things like that. There's always opportunities for questions. And so it's always kind of a good thing to go to, you know, it doesn't last till 8:30, then you gotta drive home, so you don't get home till kind of late. So if anybody's interested, let me know.
On old
What
business,
was the date again? Ethan?
April 16th.
on old business, we talked about the forests out here.
Mm-hmm.
What did we?
It's still in process. It had to go through risk and all sorts of things, so.
We're doing a plan for that, for the forest is,
Yeah, it's moving forward, but we ran it through legal counsel and through our risk management. And so there's been a lot of steps, but the first step was to make sure the board was okay with us moving forward. To do all of that, and we've done that, and we haven't not had any roadblocks. So there should be.
So what was the plan to selective log it or?
Yeah, they're gonna take care of some of the trees that are dangerous. And there should be an update at our next meeting on that with some more information about where the process has gone. Other than just ensuring that there's, you know.
is ESG taking the lead on that project?
It's all still in the works, not it.
Okay, because there will have to be a forest management. plan.
Correct.
Yeah, not management plan, but practices.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. For that, so.
I just remembered we talked about it, and then
Yeah.
I never heard nothing again.
I was just gonna say too that, the creek that runs through there. We've had issues
Yeah.
with the water coming down, so people have been walking back there. They're trying to make sure when they get the water siphon going. They walk through there to make sure there's no debris or anything that's going to clog and flood stuff, so. They're working on that, trying to fix pipe and.
We have a community member that we're working and talking to about some of the maintenance that they've been doing and how we could possibly look at some of our PCIA students getting a little bit more invested in that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few community members that are.
Yeah, there's only been a couple that have come in and chatted with us, but we know there's work. It's being done by not us. And we need to address that. But first, we need to make sure that it's safe for kids to go out there. So that's step one.
What would an idea of digging a pond in there where the fire truck can siphon draft water?
I am definitely not the person to answer questions like that, but
Who would be?
You mean in
I can find out.
in the Little Forest?
That would, I mean, that affects
Yeah, that
several
would-
people down the way.
That would,
Yeah.
there'd be, yeah.
They're just effective when it was filling up. Once it's full, the same amount of water that's
Right.
going through there now is gonna keep going down.
So what
And
the,
if
so
there
what
was
the
a
fire
fire-
department would do at a creek of that size is they basically have a, and this is my layman's explanation, but some kind of metal thing about this big. And they need to pump water, they put it in, it creates a pond right then, it has a hose intake attached to it, they suck the water up, put it in the fire truck, then they pull that metal thing out. You can't dig a permanent new pond without a DNR permit, which would probably be a huge thing, and then you would have a little bit of liability with how deep is it, and students gonna fall in it, and then it gets full of,
That's where
then it gets all full of,
It's sediment,
Muck.
there's so much sediment.
and you gotta come in and dig it out.
And you. It's not just about how quickly it fills, especially as the soil makeup back in the Little Forest, it like a lot of water actually get lost into the surrounding soil.
Yeah, we do have a pump in the portion of the creek that's right off here, the backside of the ball field. But I don't think anybody's been inside that pump house or looked at that pump in probably 30, 40 years.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah.
When Steve Fisher was here, he used to water out there. It was,
Yeah,
Well,
how long has Steve been gone? I don't know why we're not doing that again.
So Scott Bergeron said that creek kind of changed its course a little bit.
Well, it probably has, especially with springs like this one.
When we had that high water, it changed
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah. But there's so much, the creek used to be visible all the time, all the way along the edge of the playground, but it's, I don't think most kids even know it's there. They know it's in the little forest and that's it.
It's actually on the county maps as a stream. There's a, it's like, no, it's an irrigation ditch is what it is.
Well,
Because it isn't a naturally occurring stream.
pardon,
I said, Bill, it's not a naturally occurring stream. There's a culvert that goes over to the stream and then we've hand dug all the way through the community to form that.
well, that stream was there when I was a kid and I'm 76 years old.
It's old.
That's old.
It is old.
No,
It is-
it's been there a long time, but it comes, it's a gated. It runs across that hillside where it keeps eroding, and we're putting so many.
Been modified, the stream and the water's been modified over the years to meet needs.
yeah.
Goodness, you're right. Okay, so we're going to go on to document signing, and while we do that, I'm gonna make a run to the ladies' room, if that's okay. Let me,
You raise your hand and ask Kelly.
yeah. Excuse, please.
Go get you.
The sign for that is,
Oh, in ASL?
well, no, this is actually R.
Oh.
In ASL, it's this,
Oh, okay.
but as a classroom teacher, that was one difficult to see and highly distracting to teach 8-year-olds that they should go like this.
It's
So-
when they have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, so instead, and a lot of teachers do this, they will just say, please give me an R for restroom.
Part of my problem that. Puts
more pressure
in your site.
Yeah.
Rush.
I think that's the
Well, my
inside part, where it's like
His grandparents are deaf,
rigorous.
his
effort.
aunt, was
Like
the,
inability trapped. It's not like an
what
ability.
do they call her, administrator for the
We're
Washington
like,
State State School for the Deaf.
It's.
His husband is deaf, her husband and their kids. Yeah, so
There's
we've
some
got,
gaps there, 'cause
some family that's
kids
currently going to
that-
Gallaudet back to
It's like all these
the university.
smart camps kind of kids, you know. It's like-
Hard of hearing students,
Not
yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm, he said,
I just wanna make sure, yeah, you know.
We had a student, Joey.
What's that?
So we had a student a couple of years ago who was failing out of students.
I had him named.
Yeah.
And they put him up anyway. Like was on Harvard, they had a competition of who could get.
But then
best
he's
grades.
bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Easier
I
to.
mean, he retook the calculus test because he couldn't wait, so they got A minuses.
Right.
So he obviously,
Yep.
just, it was the environment he needed.
Fulfill. Yeah, yeah.
Kelly, what do you think of like adding
Feel
the
about
phrase effort driven before? which is common, like rigorous effort driven
Yeah.
academics.
We can, as I said, there will be, this isn't the only, right? This
Yeah.
is just one of many things that's gonna go out.
There's a phrase I've seen somewhere, I don't know where it's at.
Um,
Effort driven, not ability track.
Well, and I think a lot of it, I mean, yeah, I have no issue with it, I just was more interested in what our instruction staff is saying and how they think about it, and then,
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of it's just as we have the owls come through, owls per day. Not, what's their perception, what do they learn, how do they feel, like,
Have it here to here.
yeah, probably multiple touches that will help a student understand what they're getting into.
this was created specifically on feedback that has been coming from the instructors,
Yeah,
with one instructor coming and wordsmithing it before it was printed.
okay, yeah.
One instructor in particular who's been highly active in all of the conversations. Um, so, yeah, this is not coming top down at all. This is definitely being led by. the
Yeah, that's good,
instructors.
that's good, yeah, and then I think our challenge will be to. Yeah, build some recruiting and some findings and things that are a good fit.
Yeah, so far we, have had a few, kids come for Owl for a Day. And I was joking with them as they were leaving that I overheard a couple instructors talking about how they answered more questions in the class than our existing students did.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really great start. We'll see in the. Right, because they were willing to speak, right, they read the in-class assignment, they were willing to put themselves out there, they were willing to try, they were willing to right, and that's kind of at the heart of what we're getting at, like, we're gonna ask a lot of you, and we just, you have to be willing to try.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there is a lot of reading, and that's just like, right, there's gonna be a lot of reading, especially as they get into those upper grade levels, and it's a big jump for freshmen. It's often a big jump from middle school to ninth grade. And especially so when we're looking at, our ninth grade courses are trying to prepare you to take college level courses
Yeah.
in 2 years. It doesn't mean you have to.
My,
but we
my
have to
E just
offer
is the
that
3 lines of an
foundation to
E.
the students who are going to.
It doesn't have the line on the side.
They're very much college preparatory, starting in ninth grade, even though.
Are you the second one to
That doesn't mean that that's the only.
I'm on the one
line
up on the
out
right.
For students, but we have to balance that, right? Like, we've got kids who wanna
Yeah,
take
that's
college
right.
English
That's
in
John.
10th grade, like, that
Oh,
ninth
yeah.
grade English is gonna be foundational.
Right.
We've got
right.
kids who are gonna wanna get through some challenging math, like. Algebra and geometry are foundational, and so if we don't get through enough of that curriculum in a year.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're not setting them up to be successful. If our pace is being slowed down to the point that we are not completing the syllabus,
Right,
it's to everyone's detriment. So
Yeah.
striking that balance is really.
yeah, and I think, yeah, it's all great, these are the points I wanna hear, and, yeah, I think a lot of it is. Maybe some of my anecdotal stuff is just. Is it because there's a perception that's formed, I think, in some kids' mind, like, well, it's just, this isn't for me, this is whatever, prep schooly, or this is like too much. But I think, yeah, if they have the right exposure to see what it is, including exposure to like, hey, you're gonna have to work. Then I think it can be good, but I just think we need we need more exposure to kind
And
of bring those kids in and show them what's possible and.
We've been very purposeful for the last year and a half of doing that with students who attend middle school here, very
Yeah.
purposeful.
Totally.
Because we do want students where this feels like their home school, even though we're a K-8 district.
Yeah.
We do want them to feel like they're welcome here all the way through. And that we will support them. And it really comes down to, and Jennifer does a great job of like, she gives them homework and she keeps track of it. And so they're seeing some of that.
Yeah.
And exactly.
Yeah,
And we've been really, really purposeful about. Trying to, like, Mr. Harrison taught, 8th grade. Washington State history, but like, right, so they have some exposure to that and. Our students who are ready for algebra in 8th grade take that with Dr. Hart, and we've tried to do more. At least a couple assemblies a year where. The younger students get to see the students get on over, and we've got high schoolers TAing with like all these different ways to cross them.
Yeah,
At the same time, like, when we're talking to these students, it's like, so when you go to PCI,
yeah,
like, right, like, we're so excited. We'll make sure to right, so just kind of that natural assumption that if you're attending middle school here, that's where you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that.
I think that's great. That develops the pride and a lot of stuff. So before we move on to item 10, I just want to do one thing. Eric, could you check your calendar, put on your calendar on the May 18th meeting, our regular meeting in May? I will need to zoom in, and if Zoom goes wrong, I will need you to run the meeting.
You'll be zooming.
If he's zooming without it working, I don't know if it'll work or not. I have a commitment.
Okay.
And so if you'd mark the 18th in advance on your calendar to make sure if you're not available, to let us know, and we'll select an alternate vice president to.
Okay. The chair of that meeting, alright. Yeah, I think that'll be fun.
All right, so we're gonna adjourn into an executive session, and we'll start out with about 20 minutes, and this will just be the board on our evaluation part, then we'll have you come back. Are you available to stay and come back so we can then review goals and stuff? So we'll go into executive session for item under the RCW on the agenda. It is item G to evaluate the performance of a public employee. This is our superintendent evaluation process.
So that everyone can.
All right, so we are out of executive session and back into our public session. We are going to be looking at goals at the next meeting, so everybody is going to bring more comments to talk about our future. Kelly's going to be sending us something. The next board meeting is April 20th at 6 p.m. So that's our regular board meeting. And we won't be having a budget session before that. Okay, so then after that, at that meeting, we'll probably talk a little bit more about our budget agenda and what we need to do to get our budget done on time. So motion to adjourn, consensus to adjourn. Any last comments before we do adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Good.
Second.
Oh, we're gonna do a motion today, alright.
All right, everybody in favor? Aye, all right. So we are adjourned at 9:24 p.m. Thank you very much for your time. I know it's very late, but it's very important.